everyone, and welcome to the third and final art book overview for the Fullmetal Alchemist series. This is Fullmetal Alchemist 3 by Hiromu Arakawa, and it covers artwork from between the end of 2005 and till the end of 2010. So this book was published in 2011, right when Fullmetal Brotherhood was finishing airing its last couple episodes, so it was timed really well with the final chapters of the series and everything else. Just as a side note, obviously with this art book comes a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood all the way through or read the manga all the way through and you don't want to be spoiled for the ending, I would recommend not watching this, just because there's a lot of spoilers, and I don't want to ruin kind of the good ending that Fullmetal had, just unwittingly. So, as you can probably not tell from this, actually, it's quite a lot thicker than the previous two books. Obviously, it has 5 years worth of artwork in there, so there's a lot more stuff to show off, and just overall has some really good pieces from Arakawa that she did over that time frame. With every other art book previously that I've shown off, this is a mix of stuff that she did for manga covers, magazine spreads, various advertising and calendars, things like that. So it's not necessarily all artwork you've seen before, but it's all stuff that she had done in that 5-year period. So, opening it right away, and pretty much the first page, the contents page, is a spoiler for the ending. So yeah, if you, like I said, if you haven't stopped watching and wanted to avoid spoilers, then I'm sorry, but I did give you a warning. Another thing about Arakawa's art that I didn't necessarily mention, also, like with this one, you can see a lot of crossover stuff that she's done with other series that also ran in Shonen Gangan, I believe. But another thing with a lot of her artwork is she uses very different mediums. She doesn't just use Copics or watercolor or anything else. She uses a whole bunch of stuff, oils, acrylics, as well, that you don't really necessarily see in a lot of other art books, or at least just the mix of all of them. Now this volume or this third art book of hers is the only one out of the 3 that hasn't been released in English by Viz, mostly because this came out way later, after kind of Viz was experimenting with releasing art books after the bubble burst, really, in the US. So I assume that they just didn't find it profitable to necessarily bring out something like this that they weren't sure that fans would support. But with the new art book coming out just recently in the US, the Death Note one, there is a chance that they may go back and print this book now, seeing as they're doing that. So in my opinion, I think it's like a bit of testing the waters, even though it might not necessarily be something that they would do with every series. Both Death Note and Fullmetal Alchemist have a huge following in Western fandoms, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lot of people supporting the Takashi Obata black and white art book that they have just recently, or will be recently, releasing. Now, all this artwork that I'm currently showing off, the Chapter 2 stuff, does cover things. I mean, this is from a video game, but it covers things from between 2007 and 2009. So it's all organized by time frame, obviously. So you get kind of a good idea of how the story and sort of the franchise as a whole was developing over that time. This is where we really get into kind of spoiler territory for the ending. This is stuff from 2009 to early 2010. So really the final battle ramping up between our heroes and the main villain. And obviously with these two pictures, you can see that she hit the 100 chapters threshold. I believe Fullmetal Alchemist is 108 chapters long. So you really... This page is really interesting because the suit, the owl suit, is like quite a different texture to the white, the blankness. And Al himself as well is, you can actually feel the difference under your fingers, even though you can't necessarily tell the difference from just looking at it through the camera. Let's not skip that far ahead. And then this, again, a lot of spoilers for the ending, so this is the very last 5 months of Fullmetal Alchemist when it really just finished and wrapped up. There was a couple epilogue chapters as well that I'm not sure made it into the US release of the manga, but this was just really how it all ended, how everything came to a head and was finished, as you can probably tell from this piece of artwork. Again, if you're a big fan of Arakawa's art style as well as Fullmetal Alchemist as a whole, I definitely recommend these books, all of them, because it really does, in the most kind of simple way, collect how the series has matured and changed over the years. The third art book is very, very different to the first, just in tone, the type of artwork in there, the style of some of the things. It's really a very interesting evolution to watch. And it was 10 years in the making, the series and these 3 books as well. But Yeah, I got this from, I believe, CD Japan. I'm not sure if they still have copies. I would assume so. I don't know how small the print runs for these were, and at this point this book is 5 years old. But I would think that places like Amazon Japan and things like that may still have copies, because it is such a large and popular franchise that it's not necessarily a limited release. And yes, that is all three, or that's the third of the three Fullmetal Alchemist art books. They were really something I looked forward to when I was collecting them, especially the third one coming out when it did, when Fullmetal Alchemist was just really exciting, finishing and watching and everything else. It was a real joy to have the entirety of the series and everything finish properly, I guess, is what I'm looking for. But yes, Arakawa, her artwork is really it's simple, but it's very impressive in how much she's able to convey with just a simple amount of detail. It's hard to explain. There's not a huge amount of excess, just detail and little fiddly bits in her artwork. It's very clean, very stylized, and I think especially for an action series like Fullmetal Alchemist, that really worked in its favor, because it was never difficult to follow the action or anything like that, as well as kind of creating some extremely iconic characters and looks that it's just her artwork is really something that a lot of people, I think, take for granted, just because it doesn't seem necessarily as detailed or intricate as something like Clamp, but it's actually quite hard to perfect a simple style, as it were, and I think she really has perfected it in the best kind of way. So yes, thank you for watching this art book overview. I hope you've enjoyed them. It was a bit of fun looking over all this stuff again, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks. Bye.